Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 21st January 2021. These are the issues that we'll be dealing today. This article titled The Cyber Tax Conundrum is in the context of how we are going to tax the digital services given the influx of the various services that are going online, and if we are not taxing them, we are actually losing out on a potential revenue source. So what is the dilemma involved here? So if we take a look at the news from June 2020, United States declared that its trade representative will pursue an investigation under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 against India. This is not the only case, but there were other countries as well, like European Union, Indonesia, etc., which have received notices from the US trade representative. So the investigations came at a time when the European Parliament announced a 750 billion fund for its recovery plan. So they did not want to lose out on any potential revenue source during that time, and there was an objection raised by the United States because it was not in the scope of the definitions that were laid down under the laws of that country. So how do we come up with a solution for this? Does India have a law? Let us examine in this article. This idea was actually originally considered in a OECD meeting. OECD is a group of countries which have good economic backing. Therefore, taxation in these domains was considered to be a fair idea because there are multiple digital revenue sources there, and it was conducive for them to tax. So the general principle of taxation is that the amount of tax collected should not be less than the amount spent on collecting that tax. So the idea is still in a very nascent stage when you talk about South Asian countries or African countries. But in the last 3 or 4 years, digital penetration in India has been very high. India is amongst the first to have implemented an equalization levy as well in 2016 itself. So before 2016, companies who were registered permanently in India used to pay tax as per the Income Tax Act 1961. This is because these companies who used to get their revenue from business activity in India had registered their offices in India. But if you take the example of certain companies like Flipkart, they have their offices registered in places like Singapore, but they are still earning revenue within the geographical boundary of our country. So there is a reason for the government to consider taxing companies like these as well. With the advent of information technology, it became possible that Google Corporation, for example, which is registered in the US, has a permanent resident status in the US, but the source of revenue is in India because they are running ads which are viewed by people in India. So it is not fair for these companies to escape this tax. In order to address this anomaly, the equalization levy was brought out by the government previously. One has to note the fact that this particular equalization levy is not under the income tax law. That is, it is not under the IT Act 1961. Rather, it is set up as an independent levy introduced during the Finance Act 2016. So there are various kinds of services under it, and the clauses of equalization levy have been made effective with different dates. So 3 years back, even the sale of digital services like ads are also brought under the ambit of this Finance Act 2016's equalization levy. So if an e-commerce firm, say like Flipkart, which is registered in Singapore and has its operations in India as a non-resident, it earns certain revenue, right? So within that revenue, say for example, 100 rupees is the revenue earned through that platform. So in that, the government says that 2 rupees or 2% should be given to the government as a tax. But this is not under the Income Tax Act 1961, but it is a levy under the Finance Act 2016. We have to remember this point. However, it is generally agreed that this is a anti-competitive principle across the world, but given the pandemic and the expansion of the digital services across the world, now it is reconsidered. The opinion has changed from a no taxation policy to a minimum taxation, and there is a need for discussion on this particular aspect. Countries like India, which provide large markets for digital corporations, seek rightly a part of their income. So obviously the countries like US, because in India the most significant market player, which have their origin in US, will be affected if this equalization levy is expanding its base. So any company that has a permanent residence in India is excluded. So in this way, we are actually trying to get more companies registered in India, so that it would have certain base, and it would actually increase, like minimum alternate tax, corporate tax will generate even more revenue. If you are trying to escape that, at least there is a sound logic in India expecting a digital service tax as well. This again brings us back to the debate that started in the OECD forum. Right now, across the forum, the stakeholders believe that the present structure is too complex to implement. So, India, along with European Union, is advocating for a reworked idea of the original draft that was brought in by OECD. On the other hand, US is seeking a safe harbor sort of an approach. What is this safe harbor approach? So when certain companies are declared by countries to be under the ambit of this, it gives a leeway for other companies which are trying to not be a part of this framework, so that they can escape this taxation. So basically, safe harbor approach means that only a limited number of companies will be uh, forced to pay this kind of a tax. So the basic framework right now is to ensure that the digital service tax is common across the world, so that it actually uh, addresses the core problem here, that there is differential taxation, and because of this differential taxation, companies are registered elsewhere, and this is leading to a loss to countries like India. So if a digital service tax is levied across the world, irrespective of their geographical location, and if it is shared between the countries which is outside the ambit of the normal taxation agreements, it would be a fair idea for all the stakeholders involved. So India is pushing for this sort of an approach, whereas US wants to ensure that this taxation is applied only to a limited services. So that is the gist of this article. This article titled A Looming Health Crisis is taken from the Hindu, and this is regarding the antimicrobial resistance. Now let us understand what antimicrobial resistance means. So generally it occurs when microorganisms like bacteria or virus or fungus change their genetic material in such a way that renders the medications useless. So, or in some cases, they become less potent. So, potency reduces in some cases or becomes useless or ineffective. That is the central idea behind this. Now, why is this a problem? Indiscriminate usage of antibiotics has been a big concern because it is reducing the potency of a lot of drugs which took years of development and a lot of hard work behind it. Another major term that you have to understand in this context is superbugs. What are these superbugs? Microorganisms that develop antimicrobial resistance are sometimes referred to as superbugs. And antimicrobial resistance is now regarded as a major threat to public health across the globe, especially in the context of the pandemic. We have realized how serious a health concern can cripple the world, and it can literally bring the entire world to a standstill. All the developments on a personal and a professional front will come to a standstill if we don't pay enough attention for this problem. The number is staggering because every year 7 lakh people die because of this antimicrobial resistance. So resistance to second and third line of antibiotics, which are considered to be the last line of defense, are also coming down. The efficacy of these drugs are also coming down. So it is a serious health concern. Just to put things into context, if you take the case of India, nearly 58,000 children die because of a simple bacterial infection called sepsis. The drugs that are available in the market are not able to treat this sepsis, and this is leading to death of almost 58,000 kids. One of the major problem is 80% of this drugs are not metabolized and are released as such into environment. When this is not filtered properly, it will enter into our food chain, and then the resistance for these drugs will eventually come down in a long period of time. So you can see that only 37% of the sewage water is treated in our country. That is a serious cause of concern. The rest is directly discharged into natural water bodies without any treatment. In this context, we have the UNEP's program, which identified antimicrobial resistance as one of the major global concerns that will impact the environment in a very bad way. So it requires national as well as subnational governments, that is, center and states, to work together and address this problem. So that is the gist of this article.